Many months later.
So here's what happened. Hello beautiful creatures and welcome back to my channel. I would just like to start by apologizing for the hiatus that I am coming off of right now. I just finished my first semester of Pepperdine and it was eventful to say the least. I'll get into it a little bit more later, but there was a lot going on. I really did plan to make content for you guys to see of my time at school, but so much came up and so many opportunities came forward and I just could not find the time. Starting off with my classes, as you know, I was taking a vocal class, a public speaking class, an English class, a religion class, a first-year seminar called A Cult of Modern Childhood, and an acting class. All of my classes were amazing. There were some struggles that I had to get through this semester, of course, because that's part of college, but I'm definitely glad that I focused on GEs this semester instead of focusing too much on classes that were interwoven with my major, because it let me stress myself out to a point that I know I never have to be that stressed again. But my grades were good. I kept my GPA at a level that I'm very proud of, and I cannot wait for this next semester that's about to start.
That's all you get. Wow.
So keeping with this academic side of things, I don't know if I told you this, but I went into Pepperdine undeclared because I wanted to be a theater major. And in order to be a theater major, you have to audition into the program. And so I went in on the first week of school and I met with the director of the Performing Arts Department, Dr. G. He's the best. And he told me that I would have to audition into the theater department, as I expected, with 2 monologues that I would perform for the theater department staff. And from that audition, they would let me know if I got into the department. So I chose my monologues, I was all ready to go, and a few weeks before the department audition, there was a main stage production that Pepperdine was putting on that I decided to audition for. I thought it would be good practice so that I knew what to expect when auditioning for the theater department staff. And it just turned out that the person that was running those auditions was the director of the theater department, Dr. G. And so I went in, I did my audition, it was really fun, and I checked my email later that night and I did not get a call back, which at the time I was disappointed, but I also realized now in hindsight that rejection, I guess, is part of being a performer. It's part of having a career in theater, which is really what I want to do. And so I'm glad that I even got the opportunity to audition, let alone come back for callbacks. That would have been great too. So I was walking to the library the next day and I ran into Dr. G, and he stopped me and he said that he wanted to talk to me because he was very impressed with the work that I put on in my audition, and that even though I didn't receive a callback, he wanted to let me know that from that audition he was going to be able to offer me a spot in the theater department. And as you could probably guess, I was freaking out completely, but I couldn't show it. You know, I had to have some kind of decorum. So I thanked him numerous times and I filled out some paperwork a couple days later and I am officially a theater major. I could not be more excited to finally be able to claim that. What I loved the most about that experience was that maybe a day after I signed the paperwork and officially became a theater major, everybody in the department came up to me and was congratulating me on making it into the department, and that was an amazing feeling because people that I hadn't even really spent that much time with took time out of their day to come and congratulate me on making it into the department. And I feel like that was a really special experience because you don't find communities that are so welcoming too often in college campuses. But the theater department at Pepperdine is that community. They are a family, and I am speechless with how excited I am for these next few years that I get to spend in this department.
Major thing was son.
I need violence!
That was my love!
Give myself.
I will fight this man for your love.
I will fight her for your love.
Oh my God, this is amazing. Oh my God.
So a few weeks after all this transpired, there were a few events that shook Pepperdine, one of which was the Borderline shooting. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the shooting because I'm sure you know what it is, and if not, you can probably Google it. It really shook Pepperdine because one of the victims of the shooting was a first-year student at Pepperdine. Her name was Elena Housley. I remember is waking up at maybe 4 a.m. after the shooting and having 25 missed calls from my friend Jesus. I had a couple texts from some of my friends' parents and my parents' friends. They were checking in on me and I didn't know what happened, and then I saw a news report pop up on my phone that said that there had been a shooting, and I remember I could not go to sleep that night. There was so much fear in me that some of my friends were there, and I couldn't go to sleep. I was too busy texting people back, telling them that I was okay, and texting my friends to make sure they were safe. Of course, no one responded to me because it was 4 a.m., but when everyone woke up and I got texts back from my friends, I was relieved. But then we got news that there were still some Pepperdine students that were missing, and so it really had a toll on my heart because even if none of my personal friends were affected, it still pulled on my heart because I knew that there was a chance that somebody was. And like I said, when we found out that Elena was a victim of the shooting, we had prayer services. We held a memorial for her in weeks following, and it was really it was interesting to see how a community like Pepperdine really came together over the loss of one student, and it was eye-opening, and I'm grateful for the community that I have found on my campus. So later that day, amidst all the remorse and solemn feelings on campus, we got reports that there would possibly be a wildfire, and so our RAs told us that we had to pack a just-in-case bag in case of evacuation. And so everyone packed our bags, and we were woken up at about 6 a.m. the next day because a wildfire had started. So Pepperdine has a plan in place for wildfires that's known as shelter in place. So we weren't evacuated off campus, we were evacuated to designated places in campus. So I personally went to the cafeteria with most of the freshman students. Our president, AKB, came in and he reassured all of us that Pepperdine was the safest place to be in the case of a wildfire, and that they were working with the fire department to make sure that the wildfires didn't reach us. I think it all started with "I'll Make a Man Out of You" from Mulan, but we kind of started a sing-along in the cafeteria with the wildfires raging just a couple miles away. We were singing and we were having fun, and it was just amazing. So after the fire, there was so much smoke in the air that Pepperdine had to close down campus for a week. And since they closed down campus a week before Thanksgiving, we just got an extended Thanksgiving break, which was nice. It was a good way to separate ourselves from the two major events that we had all just gone through. But it was also a time for us to go home and be with our families and really reflect on what's important to us, and thank God for being able to make it through that time in our lives. When we got back from the extended break, we were all thinking about finals because they were 2 weeks away. And while some teachers were very considerate and spent the first week just trying to check in with us and make sure that we weren't too affected by the fires, other teachers were focused on making everything as normal as possible, and we kind of just got back into the flow of things. So we did have to focus on finals for those next 2 weeks. It was kind of tough getting back into the flow of being in school after a 2-week break, but we got back into the flow of it. Everything was fine, and I made it through my first set of college finals. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. The way that Pepperdine has structured everything, it's very good. I never had more than 2 finals in one day, but it was definitely an experience that was insane. I was in the library until like 3 a.m. most days, but I made it through. I got good grades on all of my finals and in all of my classes, so I can't complain. With all that being said, like I said, it was a crazy first semester. Along with all that stuff that was keeping my attention, I also had a job. I was in a small production on campus. There was a lot of things that were taking my attention, and it was insane. I do apologize for not trying harder to fit filming into my schedule. I definitely will this coming semester, but I'm glad that I took that first semester to really just get the flow of Pepperdine, because now I know how to manage my life in college. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching this video and believing that I would come back to YouTube after 4 months. It's been a crazy ride, but I can't wait to see where it takes me next. So remember, follow your heart and chase those dreams. Bye!